Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Comic Talk. It's that show brought to you by the Keeg, where we talk about this week's new comic book releases. For those of you who don't know, new DC comics come out on Tuesdays, new Marvel comics come out on Wednesdays, and we're here. And indie comics come out on Wednesdays, and we're here on a Thursday, January 25th, 2024, to talk about all the comics that came out this week. I'm your host, Dimithri Perera, and if you're watching us live, you're watching us on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show, or maybe you're listening to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. But if you're watching us live, you can see our guests. And if you're not watching us live, you're listening to the podcast, you can't see our guests. So let's jump into it. Coming at you from Wednesday Pull, we got Lex.
Hey, what's going on, everyone?
How's it going?
It's going pretty well.
Yeah.
Excited to talk about some comic books.
That's what we're here for. It used to be that when I was younger, I didn't have anyone to talk about comics with, and now I do. So, thanks for being one of those people.
I'm happy to be one of those people.
Yeah. We also got a longtime guest, but hasn't been here in a long time. We got Ambrosia Kep herself, comics and cupcakes. Are you on a comic mood right now or a cupcake mood?
Both always.
Okay. Comics.
They go hand in hand.
Always. I got these Oreo Cakesters. This episode of Comic Talk brought to you by Oreo Cakesters. It's not. We're not brought to you by Oreo Cakesters.
But we could be if Oreo knew what they were doing.
If anyone wants to be out there and sponsor our podcasts, I will gladly be a corporate shill if it comes out. Like, you know, I once got approached to do like a kombucha like TikTok video, and I'm
what?
like, I don't even like kombucha.
Okay.
And so I didn't do it. But basically, that's the line. I will whore myself out. You just have to be better than kombucha, which isn't a hard bar to clear, you know?
I used to work with a bunch of people who love kombucha, and like to the point where they would call it like booch, and they'd be like, I got my booch, and I was,
yeah. That
I tried really hard to like it. I just can't.
It is
so gross.
It is no bueno. It is no bueno. But Ambrosia.
Hi.
Has anyone called you kombucha?
No, and I hope. I think that would be like one of like the biggest like.
None of the kids at work have ever called you kombucha.
Listen,
kombucha
they've called me other things, but never kombucha.
Good.
I think that'd be like the biggest insult.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Stop acting like a kombucha.
I want to shout out Carson. Carson is always in our chat over there on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show. And like I said, we also stream to YouTube, but we draw the chat really from Twitch. But Carson 442007 is always there and subscribed for another 3 months or for the third month. I don't know, but thank you for subscribing. Carson's always cool out there. Let's talk about all the comics that came out this week. Now, something I'd been talking about previously is that this January, this year, there's been 5 Tuesdays and 5 Wednesdays. And for people who keep track, that means there's 5 weeks that DC Comics will come out and 5 weeks that all the other comics will come out. And their normal amount of comics is divided by 5 instead of divided by 4. So it's a little bit lighter. Did you guys feel that this month?
Oh yeah.
It's a little
it definitely feels like it was spread out. It feels like, because we were talking before we started recording that this week for me was a weirdly light week.
Yeah. Ambrosia, was it weirdly light for you too?
Oh yes. Which I was pleasantly surprised. My wallet was happy for this week as well, because it's a little spread out. But no, it was a lighter week than what I was expecting for sure.
It's kind of like for people who get paid like every other Friday, and not twice a month, but like they get paid like every 2 weeks on a Friday or whatever. Sometimes there's like a 5th Friday in the month, And if you got paid on that first Friday, you get paid 3 times in that calendar month. And you're like, that's an extra paycheck, baby. You know?
Right.
It's kind of like that, except the opposite for comics.
Yeah.
It's just lighter, less expenditures. So that works. Carson out there is asking, and I feel bad. I feel bad because I'll tell you why. Carson says, does anyone read the Darkwing Duck stuff? I feel like I'm the only one. I'm a huge, or at least I was a huge Darkwing Duck fan. He was a big part of my childhood and forming my thoughts on what a superhero is, because as I was watching cartoons. And there is a comic for Darkwing Duck, and Justice Ducks came out this week.
Yeah.
I did not read. I haven't read any of them.
I wanted to. I don't read a lot of Dynamite books. Not anything against Dynamite. I just I don't know. I pulled the first Darkwing Duck series whenever they brought it back, whenever they put it on Dynamite, but I never got around to reading it. And I wanted to pick this Justice Ducks book up today, or yesterday, but if I didn't read the first series, I was like, I'm not gonna buy this just for the sake of buying it. And I think it'll be around for a little while. I can pick it up later if I do get around to reading it. But I do love the character Darkwing Ducks, sort of like you said, grew up with it, and huge fan of that universe. So maybe I'll get around to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but continue reading, even though you feel like you're the only one and that some of us don't read it. You continue reading because you are supporting that company. And by bringing it to our attention, maybe some of us will start reading it as well. So continue reading, and then you'll have to, maybe Dimithri, you can have him come on and talk about some Darkwing Duck.
I'll tell you what, Carson, if on TikTok or whatever, you ask about Darkwing Duck or whatever, it'll force me to read it, and then I'll do a video on it. I've been really behind on TikTok. I'm sorry.
Same.
It's been tough. I have only recently felt like an adult, and it's taking a toll on me.
Yeah, it does that. It does that.
And we don't even have kids. Imagine how Lex feels.
Yeah.
Nah, I kind of go with the flow. My kids, luckily my kids are the most laid back kids that I've ever interacted with. So I got really lucky in that instance.
Now I'm just imagining like a little version of you.
Yeah, they take care of
versions of you.
They take care of me more than I take care of them, I think. Yeah. So I'm really fortunate with them. And my wife is an actual adult, so so I got it pretty easy over here.
Do your kids call you Pops?
I want them to call me old man. I want them all.
Really?
I want them to call me old man. I want my grandkids to call me old man.
Oh.
I just want that to be my name, but my wife fights me on it every time.
All right. So, unfortunately, none of us are reading the Darkwing Duck stuff, but
I will.
I mentioned I'm a huge fan of like IP. Like I love IP. You know, like intellectual property, right? Like things that I know already. I love reading the comics, but what I've realized recently is now that I'm picking and choosing a little bit more so than I used to, there's the comics like Darkwing Duck or Gargoyles that I would be really into. I'm like, that's not a priority for me right now. And if I had a kid, though, I feel like that would be the type of one that I would read with, like, my kid.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like my relationship to, like, Peanuts now. Because, like, I love Charlie Brown and I love Snoopy and stuff, but I feel like I'm not going to go back into Peanuts until I'm ready, like, until I have kids.
Yeah, so you guys asked if my kids read stuff like that.
Yeah.
They don't read superhero comic books, but we read Calvin and Hobbes. We read Big Peanuts, old Garfield books. We have a lot of that here at our house. So
I don't need to buy the Calvin and Hobbes sets right now. Yeah. I'll buy them when I have kids.
Which I think makes sense. Like I didn't get into what age, Dimithri, and Lex, what age did you guys all get into when you started reading comics?
It depends. Like like what kind of comics?
Like let's say like DC Marvel comics.
DC
like superhero.
Marvel was about 6th grade. Yeah, probably around like 6th grade. I remember Executioner's song. Just the cover of the X-Men storyline Executioner song in the Barnes & Noble that I went to. But before that, I was reading Tintin. Tintin was like like my first comics because my dad had Tintin comics and he gave them to me. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. So
And
I
that
was 7.
7.
Yeah, and I only know that because when the Mask movie came out, I was obsessed with that movie, and my parents had went out and bought me, probably at a Walgreens. You would buy comic books there back then. They went out and bought me Mask comic book. It was The Mask Strikes Back,
that one's
and
bad
I read.
though, right? Like
Yeah. And so
bad
I'm in
for-
my room. Yeah, oh yeah, it's like a bad for adults too. It's pretty it's pretty graphic. And so I'm 7 years old in my room with the door closed, just like knowing I'm about to get in trouble for reading this book that my parents got me. And then it was all downhill from there. I had to get into all kinds of comic books.
And see, I feel like I didn't get into comic books until, well, like my freshman year of high school. And I think that's where like I felt more connected to some of the characters.
Yeah.
Versus like reading for like enjoyment. And I feel like with those with like Tintin and like Charlie Brown and the Peanut, but like you read those because like they're fun. And
I read a lot of comic strips in the newspaper back when
same.
Yeah.
But like us, when you get into like the lore of it all and like, you know, some of like the deeper stuff, then I think that happens like when they're older and like Lex, he's like one day I think your kids are just going to like it's just gonna hit them and they're gonna find a character
probably.
that they connect with. And
probably. I'm trying to ease them into Bone. Bone's a one of my favorites.
Bone's fun.
That's a good
I've
one.
never read Bone.
It's a good one. It's a good time. It's kind of reminiscent of that Calvin and Hobbes era, but it has a lot of that deep lore that a good story has. And that's the one I'm kind of easing them into.
No, that's a good one. I like Bone a lot. My students like that one a lot too.
I want to know what you guys did read this week.
Ambrosia, you want to go first?
Sure. So I did have Magneto, or Resurrection of Magneto. I didn't get to read it, but I started that.
Okay.
Did you read it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Of course I did.
Duh. Spider-Man 2099. Superior Spider-Man. Star Wars: A High Adventure. Thrawn Alliances. I was halfway through the Immortal Thor. I didn't get to finish it, but we'll talk about it because I think Lex
you got
read
issue numbers on any of these?
Yeah. The Immortal Thor issue number 6.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then I read Gods issue number 4.
I didn't prep that image, Ambrose.
Sorry, it's because I didn't know if it was in my pool or not.
It's all right. Did you read Spider-Woman 3?
No. I didn't. No, I didn't.
I thought you were, but all right.
Yeah, me too. But
you're just throwing me curveballs, Ambrose.
I know. It wasn't in my pool, and I didn't even double check because that one is on my pool list.
Okay, well, we'll make sure to go through all of it, but you're gonna have to remind me on the ones I didn't prep because that's how normally I keep track of like all the books we read.
Cool. But I think, did anyone else read Gods?
I read issue number 1, and I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah, that's a trade wait for me, or waiting for it to hit the app.
Yeah.
I've heard it was good though.
I really liked it.
You know, I don't know whether it's gonna be for me or not. I'll go back and I'll binge it and I'll see if it makes sense. I love Hickman, I do, but I don't know if this is scratching the itch I want him to scratch. You know, like I just wish he didn't get off of X-Men and he stayed on the X-Men train because that was like I was loving that.
Yeah.
But hey. Lex, what'd you read?
All right, I've read from IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 47.
147.
They're 147, yeah. Ghost Machine. It's from a new publisher called Ghost Machine, but it's like a small imprint that they're publishing their books through Image. I read The Holy Roller. I think that's an Image book as well.
Yeah, number 3.
And that was issue number 3. Over at DC, I read Green Arrow, issue number 8, The Penguin, issue number 6, and at Marvel, I read Superior Spider-Man, issue number 3, The Immortal Thor, issue number 6, Punisher, issue number 3, and I think I read Resurrection of Magneto. I read the entire thing, but I have no idea what was going on.
And,
it was a lot.
We'll have to talk about it for sure.
Yeah. It was a lot.
Yeah. Okay. For me, the the ones that I read, and I'm upset because I mean it may sound like a lot, but also I'm upset that it wasn't as much as my normal thing. Superior Spider-Man number 3, Resurrection of Magneto number 1, Green Arrow number 8, X-Force 48, and Titans Beast World 5. Oh yeah, that isn't enough. That's 5 for me. Normally I'm in double digits. Can you guys hear me?
Same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. I'm sorry.
My dog was eating a Lego.
What? You had a Lego in your nose? What?
No, my dog was eating a Lego.
Oh. So yeah, those were what I read this week. I only read 5, but it's okay. Sometimes you get a slow week, and that's okay. This was actually a good week to have a slow week.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was missing that much. I tried to start reading The Flash, and I read the first page, and I was like, I can't handle this right now. I'll get back to it. Because The Flash right now has been so cosmically weird that I'm like, oh, I need to like sit and like focus on it. It is not good for ADD kids.
No, then that's exactly how I felt after the second issue of this new series. I was like, I'm gonna have to wait and read this all at once. I don't think every month isn't gonna work for me. I'm gonna have to sit down and read this at a trade.
I mean, I try to read it once a week, but you know, it is what it is. You guys have a pick of the week?
Yes, I do.
Ambrosia is nodding.
I do.
What's your Ambrosia? What's your pick?
It's a Superior Spider-Man.
Was that your pick of the week? I liked it actually. I just finished reading it. I liked it. I don't know. Tell me about it. Why was this your pick of the week?
So, Superior Spider-Man is one of my favorite Spider-Man arcs, like the original one.
Yeah.
And I see it's so good. And so I was really excited that they relaunched this. And then just the relationship between him and Doc Ock in general, of them trying to figure out, can I trust him? Can I not? And then he thinks he can, and then obviously at the end we see that we can't. But then I love Anna Maria.
Yeah.
She is so cool, and I just love her relationship with Doc Ock, and he is blinded by love and just wants to like and save his woman.
Yeah.
But this is so nostalgic for me. Superior Spider-Man has just been like one of my favorites. And so I think it gives me the nostalgia aspect of it, while giving a new kind of season.
Twist?
Yeah.
I didn't,
especially because I never thought that I would see it again.
Yeah. It was a really good arc. Or run or whatever. It was a good amount of years that like Doc Ock was Spider-Man. But I don't know. Lex, are you reading this run?
Yeah, I'm reading it, and I really like it. Again, some people don't like Dan Slott Spider-Man. I love Dan Slott Spider-Man.
So did I.
I love Superior Spider-Man. And this I was kind of apprehensive about because it's like, when something that you really enjoy, when they bring it back for the sake of bringing it back, it's like, I don't know. And especially with the current track record of like Spider-Man stuff, I was like, I don't know if they should do it or why they would do it. But I've really enjoyed it because it's weird and it's kind of silly, comic booky. Like Ambrosia was saying, whenever they're explaining like the story, he even says it. He says your story should be simple. You took over my body, but then Spider-Verse happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And it's just this wacky comic book stuff. And I feel like we don't get a lot of that nowadays because everything has to be, serious or has to be super emotional. So whenever we do get this sort of wackier comic book stuff, I really enjoy it. And Spider-Man's the book to do it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what I've enjoyed about this is, well, for one, I'm glad that someone else is a Dan Slott fan, because most of the people I talk to can't stand
Which run did Dan finish on?
I think Superior Spider-Man.
No. Oh, yeah. Wait, Superior Spider-Man was the end of his run?
Oh, no.
Did he do Spider Island? I don't know. I don't remember which one was
I
first.
liked all that stuff.
See, I
Yeah,
did
me
too.
too.
I think he did do Spider Island.
Who
But
did the
a lot
recent Beyond?
well, and then that's what I'm saying. So I think so. Like for me, so
Or was
this
that
was
Zeb?
right before Zeb Wells.
Wait, so when did Dan Slott end? With the Ben Reilly Beyond stuff?
I think so. I feel like Superior Spider-Man was the end for a little while.
Yeah, so I think Dan Slott did Superior Spider-Man, and then right after Superior Spider-Man, and then they ended that initial Amazing Spider-Man run with 700, and that was his last time writing Amazing Spider-Man, and then he did Spider-Verse.
Okay.
Well,
and then I think he came in for some of the issues of Beyond. They did like Beyond. They had the side issues like .0 whatever.
Yeah.
And I think he did some of those.
Okay. Wasn't a fan of that, but I do.
Yeah.
Who did Craven's hunt of the different animal themed villains?
So that I think it was Zeb Wells, but during that whole time period, there was multiple writers, like going back and forth.
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of like a mix of like Zeb Wells, and he was it for a while, and then like throughout the run, they would have a different writer for like this issue and then this issue. And I think that's why I enjoyed Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah.
For so long, because the story arc, the first story arc that came out right before Spider-Verse, and then that's kind of when like Spider-Verse kind of blew up, and it kind of just, I think from there things kind of went all over in the Spider-Man world, and then we had the Amazing Spider-Man that kind of stemmed from there, that was just chaotic and not very good. And so I feel like this is bringing us back to some good storytelling that isn't as it doesn't like spawn off and isn't as chaotic as what we've seen. So it's just nice to have a sequential story that's just a good, fun story.
Yeah. So like my thoughts about this is I just didn't know what the premise was. And I don't even think they really told you what the premise was. Because the title is Superior Spider-Man. In the first 2 issues, it's not Otto getting the body back. It's just like an octopus Spider-Man story.
Yeah. Pete has to dress up and pretend to be, which I thought that was hilarious.
In this issue, right? But the first 2 issues was just like, it's just another arc that stars Dr. Octopus, essentially. But this one finally brings in a little bit more of that. Though I do like Spider-Boy, and I do like how they worked him into Superior Spider-Man. Like in the past, in that flashback,
Yeah.
And so, like, I thought that was cool. But this issue was weird and wacky and, funny.
Yeah, very funny.
Peter pretending to be Superior Spider-Man, and like those minions are there underneath.
They've been there for years. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And especially like, I feel like it's just a Doc Ock thing to do. Like, by the way, here are my minions. They're attacking because they don't even know that I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's silly because he's like, they're waiting for me to eventually become Spider-Man, like making a nod to like stories being recycled years after years. He's like, I'm eventually going to be Spider-Man again. Yeah. And so they're just going to wait there until it happened.
Yeah. And it's cheaper for Doc Ock to keep them on retainer, essentially, than to like be like, sorry, here's your severance package. You can go work for another villain. And then when I need you, I guess I got to do another Craigslist ad. But he's like, no, I'll just, pay you a livable wage. I would assume Doc Ock pays a livable wage, which is pretty, I
don't think so. I think he gives them like the bare minimum. But
then
it would be like, but I'll order you pizza.
Yeah. There's got to be some perks. And they're henchmen, so they're pretty like.
Well, they're
probably
he's
doing
solving
all right.
like at least the housing crisis for them. He's giving them a place, like they get to live there.
Yeah,
and that's probably all they're getting.
Right.
They get. What
they can't leave. They are underwater. Right.
What do they do for fun? I need to know.
They practice their skills, so they are
Their
just
kissing skills.
No, they're practicing their like.
Oh, I thought because I said
Their
what if they fall
henchman
in
skills.
love and then
No.
they practice their skills.
Oh,
Hey.
that too. I mean, you know what? To each their own.
I mean,
they can practice all the skills.
They're like, hey, one day we'll go back out into the real world and we'll kiss a bunch of ladies. But for right now, how about we just practice on each other?
Yeah, we don't want to be rusty.
So yeah, I don't know. That was a good issue actually. This was probably my favorite issue of the 3 that came out.
I would agree.
You know, not only the 3, there was the one before that was like Superior Spider-Man Returns. It was like a one-shot.
Yeah, because it's supposed to bridge that Spider-Man series.
Yeah,
where Pete was dealing with Spider-Verse stuff, and then Spider-Boy, and then that, and now it kind of changed into this book.
Yeah. You know, so I like it. That was Ambrosia's pick, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Lex, what was your pick of the week?
My pick of the week, which it surprised me, it was Ghost Machine.
Oh.
Okay.
It surprised me. I just, I don't know. I didn't expect. Sometimes it's weird with these sort of new universes. And this was kind of a teaser of all of the different books that they're going to have in this new universe, or their new imprint. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty good. Like, I read Geiger before, and they're kind of teasing the future of that and connecting it to their other stories. And it was just interesting. They had some Brian Hitch in there, and I'm not a huge Brian Hitch fan. I've been known to have some Brian Hitch slander on the internet, but I really enjoyed his work in this somehow. I don't know how, but it was good.
Did you not like Brian Hitch when he drew Superman?
No, I'm not a huge Brian Hitch fan, man.
Okay.
At all.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, it's not. What was his name? Finch? Who was that guy? Who did Avengers Disassembled?
Yeah.
David Finch?
I think so.
He doesn't do art anymore, right? I don't think he works anymore.
I don't know. I hope I can find out, though.
Is it weird that, like, the artists that we grew up in the early 2000s, like, some of them are still around, and then some of them, they just drop off, and you're like, where was that person?
Yeah, David Finch. Yeah.
I remember David Finch. Anyway, tell me about Ghost Machine, because this is spearheaded by Jeff Johns, right?
Yeah. And they have, so they were doing some books like Geiger and, what was that robot? There were multiple books that they had that were teasing that they were going to tie together. And then they announced that they had their sort of like, Skybound has their imprint that they published through Image. Yeah. And so it's sort of like, it was just an intro. They introduced a lot of characters. They have these sort of not family friendly books, but what was that movie called? Meet the Robinsons? Yeah. And they have a family book like that. They have sort of a devil and angel book. They have a lot of cool concepts that feels really original. And maybe it's cheating that this is my pick of the week because it is sort of like 6 books in one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're like introductory books. So they have Geiger, and then they go into Redcoat. Then they have a book called Rook, and they have a book called The Rockefellers, and then another one. So it's like 8 pages per book as an introduction. And I thought it pulled me in. I wanted to know more.
Is it like a reintroduction to like comic characters that nobody read originally?
Not that I know of.
Like, because you said some of them had series already, right?
So, like, Geiger had a book at Image already, but this just continues from that.
Oh, but the rest are like whole new characters?
And like the Geiger characters, and I can't remember, there's a robot in this book. He had a spinoff, and they sort of talk about him in there. And so they're just sort of expanding out of the characters that they already had made.
Okay. But it was
just kind of expanding the universe.
Was it intriguing enough?
For me, it was.
Okay.
And
I don't want to be skeptical. I'm just,
when
I looked at it, I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to roll my eyes for now. And then, maybe
That's how I was too. I liked Geiger enough when I read it originally, so it was enough for me to want to pick this up. And usually with a book like this, 64 pages, they usually charge like a $7 or $8 book, but this one's $5. So I think that's what kind of swayed me. I was like, it's only $5. I'll get it. And it was pretty good. There's this one story in there called Rook that was really cool. It's about these people get taken from Earth to live on another planet. And they have these helmets that let them control the certain animal that the helmet is like related to. And so the main character Rook can control these birds. His friend, his name is Swine, he can control these warthogs and pigs. And you're basically, the tease that we got from them is just them running from like a lion or a tiger. But you get to teased into this like bigger world with the dialogue between the two of them.
Is this kind of like Distillery #1 or whatever that was?
Yeah, it's kind of like Devil's Cut for Distillery.
Devil's Cut, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Who's your favorite character out of all these characters?
Right now, oh man, I really like this character. His name is Redcoat. He is an immortal guy.
Uh-huh.
I just love that trope of the immortal character going through every era.
Yeah.
And kind of being like a shithead just because he's been alive for so long.
Yeah.
So he's pretty cool.
Okay. All right. Ghost Machine 1, that's your pick. And you also wrote that article for thekeegshow.com.
I did. Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at you.
I did.
What'd you say, Ambrosia?
I did.
He's amazing. Good job.
Oh, Thanks. Did you read it?
No. Oh. But I will now.
So check out Lex's article at thekeegshow.com. My pick is probably X-Force 48. So basically what's happening, or what's been happening, so the Krakoan Age is ending. It's in the Fall of X era. House of X, or Fall of the House of X, Rise of the Powers of X, that whole thing. Now, X-Force being its own kind of title is finishing up their loose threads. And so kind of what's been happening with the Krakoan Age of like Beast and the Krakoan Age is that Beast has slowly but surely moved into gray area territory and then really dark territory. So and then everybody's like, oh, well, that's just Beast, like Dark Beast. I'm sure there's going to be a twist where it's Dark Beast instead. But then Dark Beast, his head was already shown, so it's not Dark Beast. And so people were like, how did Beast turn evil? All that stuff. And they were like, well, I don't know. But then in this book, they thought they had killed Beast, and then Beast comes back. And
yeah, I did read this one.
Oh, you read this one?
I forgot to mention I did read this one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So basically what happens is that Beast is back, and he like gets into their like computer system, and then essentially they talk about how their only plan is to bring back a Beast clone with with memories that they have. And they were like, well, Beast destroyed all the Cerebro files of Beast except for one, and that's one file that's dated back to when Beast was like on the Avengers, and he was like nice, fun loving Beast.
Horny Beast, that's like my favorite, where he's all my stars and Garter's Beast.
Yeah. And so they essentially brought back a Beast with like the mind from the past.
Yeah.
And so like, is this their cop out to get old Beast back?
Yeah. And it's kind of sad, like with Beast realizing like all the terrible stuff the other Beast has done.
Yeah. But that's been a trope, right? Like that was literally the premise of the X-Men run, where they got the new X-Men, like the original 5 to come forward in time. Beast brought them. It's kind of ironic. Beast brought the original 5 X-Men forward in time to see how shitty Cyclops is. But it turns out now they've brought past Beast into this to see how shitty Beast is. Yeah. So I liked it. Some people are saying it's a cop-out and they don't like that. And then it's It's going to be bad for character development, but I honestly think like this might just get us back to the Beast that we like. And
they do that a few times. They did it with Cap, not really time travel, but when the Secret Empire, they had evil Cap for so long, and then on the last issue, regular Cap just appeared out of his body and then beat him up.
Yeah.
So it's like it is an ongoing trope with them.
It's all right. I'm okay with it. Mainly because I do miss nice scientist Beast.
Same. And he's about to be in the movies.
War criminal Beast.
He's about to be in the movies, so they have to make him.
Well, if they choose to go Beast.
Nice guy.
He's not my lineup pick. My lineup pick for X-Men, I've thought time and time again about my lineup pick. And so I don't know. I hope that you don't use Beast. He's not in my lineup. So Marvel.
But even though they already introduced him.
Oh yeah, that's right. But that's an alternate universe Beast. That's the problem.
For now. For now.
No. Okay, I'm gonna be very upset. Lex, you are making me very angry. No,
but the Flash. Michael Keaton explained it in The Flash with the spaghetti, man.
Yeah.
It's all going to be like that. It's just going to all be mashed together.
I think it ruins the mutants if they come from unnatural means.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point of mutants is they are our replacements in a way, right? And so then you tie in civil rights and stuff, and you tie in those tiki torch idiots who are like, they shall not replace us. That's the mindset. People are always like, why do people not hate like Captain America, but why do they hate mutants? It's because the idea of replacement. And so a natural inevitability of evolutionary replacement, right? So I don't want the mutants to be multiversal refugees.
Yeah.
I think that would be ridiculous.
It would be ridiculous.
It's like they need to be our natural evolutionary.
I'm interested to see how they handle it because they've.
I'm so Kamala
Khan's a mutant technically, and she's in there already. So
So that's also why I don't like the multiverse. I do not like the multiverse.
Yeah, because it's very heavy-handed. I don't like it as heavy. I like it as sort of a background, mysterious thing, not it's everything. You know what I mean? Like this is what we're doing right now.
Right. So just that before we go on, but the final scene in the Marvels, and I like the Marvels, good enough movie, not a problem.
Yeah.
But that final scene where they show Monica and then they show Beast, I'm like, why should I care? Because here's the thing, what they should have done is have that be the same universe that Doctor Strange went to and massacre, like where Scarlet Witch massacred all the people, and that was Monica got brought back, right? Like.
Yeah.
Not Monica.
As the star,
Maria.
as the star brand. Yeah.
Yeah, as binary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, they should have done that just to show, but no, it's a brand new universe. What does it matter?
I'm interested to see how they do it, man.
I don't know.
Side tangent.
there's a universe out there where the cast of I Love Lucy becomes the Avengers.
It's true. I'd watch that.
Like, okay.
Who would Lucille Ball be?
Captain Marvel.
Is she really? She's
Black Widow.
She's Spider.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I feel like why did I say did I do that? That's Urkel.
That's Urkel.
But she does the thing. That I don't know. Anyway.
I feel like she'd be more on like the Deadpool spectrum of things, which is, I know, not X-Men.
Lucille Ball Deadpool.
Yes.
I'd watch it.
Yeah. I think it'd be so good.
Lucille Pool.
What do you think?
Deadball? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. So that's my pick of the week, X-Force 48. So we talk about our picks of the week, but let's go through other stuff like the let's go through everything. Resurrection of Magneto, Ambrosia didn't read.
No, but I bought it.
Lex, you skimmed through it and you were like, I don't know.
Yeah, I read it, and as I got through it, I was like, I haven't read enough, man. I know that every time I pick up an X-Men book, I know that I haven't read enough of the past 3 years of books. So when I got halfway through it, I was like, I read the story where Magneto died, so I thought I would have enough background. But no, I got
You
really,
never have enough
really,
background.
yeah, it got really out there really quick.
So, I mean, the thing about the Krakoan age of X-Men is, like, they've essentially doubled the lore. Like,
Yeah.
in the decades before the Krakoan age, like, all that lore, they matched that in 5 years, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's a lot of lore. So, in this, basically, Storm's getting visions of Magneto, essentially, I don't know, like an omen of Magneto, but Magneto's dead. So then she's like, I need to bring back his soul and essentially save him. Where is his soul? So then they go to the mutant version of heaven, which is kind of like Scarlet Witch kind of created this mutant version of heaven where you can technically you can resurrect dead mutants that have never been copied by Cerebro through their soul in the waiting room, is what it's called. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I love Storm and I love Magneto. This issue was a confusing start.
Yeah. And I even remember the guy that Magneto killed with the helmet. He was back, but then everything that he could do, I was like, nah, don't know anything about that. Don't know anything about
Tarn
that.
the Uncaring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him turning into that crazy space monster. I was like,
yeah. How does it end?
With Magneto crawling through what looks like hell with his eyes gouged out.
Cool. I'm gonna keep reading it.
Yeah, I probably will too. I love like you. I love Magneto and Storm.
Yeah. That's why I love the X-Men Red series.
Yeah. And there were a lot of cool panels in this one. I don't have anything bad to say about this other than I don't have, all the lore.
Yeah. Ambrosia, what's another comic that you would feel remiss if you didn't get to talk about?
Oh, can I say one that I didn't like?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't like The Amazing Spider-Man 2099.
Oh gosh,
Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099?
Yes.
Number 4?
Yes.
I flipped through that and it just seemed really cartoony. And the villain was like a Disney Channel villain. And I just it didn't make me want to read it.
I don't like Miguel O'Hara.
Yeah.
See, and I do. And I typically, his comics are like some of my favorite just because like he's kind of like he's not the like kind, caring like Peter Parker. He's just like, I'm here. I don't know. But I've enjoyed a lot of his stories, and this one has been really, really hard. And I felt like it was just like when you read a comic and you're just like, I think I have to go back and reread it because I don't know what I just read.
Yeah.
I had to go back and go through it, and I realized that it wasn't that I didn't get everything. It was just it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And so I was really hoping I'm going to continue with the series because that's what I do. But it wasn't. I had high expectations. And I continue to have high expectations. But it's written by Steve Orlando. But it wasn't that great. So if you're so do I.
Yeah.
And so that's why I had high hopes.
Yeah, I bought it, but it started flipping through it, and I was just like, I don't know what it is. It just did not make me want to read it at all.
I don't like the 2099 feature, and that's just me. Like, I like in futures of superhero universes, I like legacy. You know what I mean? And I know that he's taken on the mantle, but like his origin is different. Like, everybody is different in this future. Like, they all have the same names, but like it might as well be Stan Lee when Stan Lee reimagines the DC universe. It's kind of like that.
I like 2099. It's one of those things that you miss it when it's gone. So if they wait a little bit, then they come out with a event or a story, then you're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick this up because it's 2099. But like if it's always around, if it's just there's always a 2099 book or Miguel's always around, then it kind of loses I don't want to say novelty, but I've always missed it more. I remember it was years had passed by, and then they came out with this book called Time Slip or something. It was the first 2099 crossover that they did in a while. And I got really into that because I like the X-Men specifically at 2099 because they are so random.
Yeah.
But they just never stopped after that. It's been nonstop 2099 stuff.
I like the MC2 universe. I like the Spider-Girl.
That's one of my favorite.
Oh,
that's one of my favorite comic book.
I thought you were gonna say you don't.
Universes.
Yeah, I thought you.
Oh no, huge Spider-Girl fan. I like Spider-Girl more than like Spider-Man.
Oh, okay,
really?
The reason I like that is because there's a legacy angle. There's kids of heroes. Like there is a fun element that I want to see in my alternate futures. Kingdom Come, I love Kingdom Come. One of my favorite comics of all time. There's brand new characters they bring in, but there's also like, yeah, Oliver Queen and Dinah Lance have a daughter. Like,
yeah,
okay, cool. Like we get to see that, and it's rando. Like some of them are rando and some of them aren't, and like we get a mix. But like 2099 future is like everybody's new, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay. Versus MC2 where it's like, what if the Juggernaut had a kid? Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's there's a fun and there's like, I don't know, there's kind of a hope. There's a hope to it. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, so my hope is that it is going to be just a short little mini series, and it doesn't continue on more than that. I always feel like Miguel O'Hara does really well when he tag teams with like Peter Parker or like Jessica Drew or like someone else in comics. So I really like when he has someone to balance out.
Yeah.
But versus just him on his own. The next issue is supposed to be with Man Thing. So and I like Man Thing. So we'll see how that goes. But it's the Techno Man Thing. So we'll see. But I haven't been a fan of this comic. It makes me really sad.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone reading Titans Beast World #5? Anyone read it? Or reading the crossover event? So it was okay. The art is cool. It was actually not a bad issue. It ends kind of weird, not in the way that I wish it did, but okay, that's fine. Like they reveal who Dr. Hate is, and I
did see that.
And I'm like,
someone sent me that.
I don't know. So spoiler alert. Dr. Hate has been, they've hinted at Dr. Hate throughout this run, and turns out it's the evil version of Raven.
Yeah, or like evil side personified.
Yeah. So, okay, I don't know. That's not.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Especially because they teased Dr. Hate at the end of the last event.
Yeah.
Was whatever that Lazarus Night Terrors.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be this big thing, and then I don't know where they're going with it. I just don't know.
They pulled they essentially pulled what Marvel did with Captain America in the end of Uncanny Avengers that happened recently, where they're like, who is Captain Krakoa? Captain Krakoa is Hydra Cap, but Hydra Cap at least existed and had his own stories. Where
there's more of a backstory with them.
Yeah. So they revealed that, but the overall story I thought was good, and I can see where they're going. So essentially, what happened in this issue is they bring up the fact that like, okay, now they've solved the problem of like Amanda Waller has killed Beast Boy out there, so now more people aren't being infected, but the people who are infected and have turned into animals are still animals, and she's like, we're just gonna kill them all. So we're gonna kill a million people, and then the Titans is like, you can't kill a million people, and she's like, God bless them for their sacrifice.
Are they setting her up to be like a big bad?
Yeah.
Because they talk about her in Green Arrow too, about how she's offering anybody a pardon if they kill a hero. Like you kill a superhero, you get a pardon for any terrible thing you've done. You're good to go.
Which is weird to me.
That is crazy.
It seems to me she's trying to sow discord. Like Nightwing takes down Peacemaker, and like that's a really quick thing, which I thought was awesome because Peacemaker ain't shit. Like
nah.
In the DC universe, Peacemaker ain't shit. Like that's the whole
point. They're trying to make him cool, but
like you can make him cool, but like he can't go toe to toe with Nightwing.
He shouldn't. Yeah, he shouldn't.
And he doesn't.
It's better that he's not. Yeah, it's better that he doesn't.
Yeah, and so Nightwing takes him down pretty easy. And so like Peacemaker is somebody you send against like rando unsuspecting humans.
Yeah.
But like anyway, so the plot of this is like, okay, this issue was not bad, but at the same time, I didn't like the reveal of Dr. Hate. And I don't even think this whole crossover event doesn't even need Dr. Hate. So I don't know why Dr. Hate is in it. You take Dr. Hate out of this, you still get the same story.
I wonder if it's setting up something else. Like they're just putting Dr. Hate in all of these things to set up something else.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know, yeah. Because the next big event is a Superman event, so that's weird.
Yeah. What's the Superman event?
House of Brainiac.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are we getting Brainiac
really
5?
I don't know. I hope. It looks really good.
Okay.
Superman's been good so far, so
Superman has been good. All right. Lex, what's a book you want to talk about? Let's just say we got 15 minutes left. What do you
I really liked Green Arrow.
I did too.
It was as spoilers for anybody, Green Arrow it opens up with him being dead. And so we've only been 8 issues. So it's kind of really, really random for it to be like, hey, Green Arrow died off screen, essentially. Like he's just dead.
Yeah. They do the classic switcheroo kind of thing. And that was cool.
And of course he's not dead. And for a second I didn't know what was going to happen though, because I love his son. I love Connor, and you see Connor get shot in the head. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? What is about to happen in this book? But immediately, like the next page, they reveal that it was a trick, and they are trying to get closer to what's his name? I can't remember that guy's name. Yeah, Brick.
Yeah.
And then they find out that Roy is working for Amanda Waller, which was an interesting twist, and I really like that.
Yeah.
Or Roy.
Yeah.
He gets a break.
First things first, I'm Connor being like in his 20s and buff versus skinny and in his like late teens in Robin. I'm not sure. Are you telling me that the Connor in this issue was really good friends with Damian?
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird that he was, and I really liked him in the Robin book.
Yeah.
And it is weird to see him like almost towering over Oliver in this book. It is weird. They do that a few times in a few different characters. I wouldn't mind
if they made 2 Connors.
Yeah, I love Connor Hawk. He's a character that they have underused throughout the years.
Yeah. It would be, I don't know. There could be some sort of like comic book like manipulation where it's like Ollie wishes he was able to be a father to his child.
Yeah.
And in that, it doesn't de-age Connor, but it creates a younger Connor in a way. I don't know. It's comic books. But
it's comic books. Make it work.
Yeah, I liked this one. This one was cool. It was kind of standalone-ish.
Yeah, definitely felt like a one-shot almost. Yeah. And I love Onomatopoeia. I think he's one of Green Arrow's best villains, even though he's silly. And so it's good to see him.
Yeah.
Even though it was kind of like a nothing.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nothing issue.
You remember how Batman, is it Cacophony or the Widening Gyre? It's Cacophony,
those are
right?
Cacophony, yeah. And I think it's they're together as a series.
No, they're two different miniseries, but they're together.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a part 1 and part 2, and they're supposed to be
that's what I meant.
Yeah,
by Kevin Smith, right?
That was the last one, and it ends with Onomatopoeia.
Yeah,
and then it's been 15 years at least.
Yeah. I remember trying to look at and see what they were going to do about that not too long ago, because that's such a silly book.
But I'm like, come on, like they need to finish it.
Yeah,
because he stabs the girl, right? Is that what it like?
Yeah, Bruce's fiance, yeah.
And then that's it. So it's like, okay, can we? And then in this, they were like, we don't know what he looks like under the mask, and it's like, what about that story?
Yeah, right.
What happened here?
Yeah, that would be good for them to finish it, especially now. after so many years.
Yeah. But Kevin Smith notoriously can't finish his deadlines.
Yeah.
But it's writing. That's the easier part. Not that writing is easy, but like the artist can only work on one title
compared
compared to art. Like the writers can write multiple series at one time, but artists only have to can only really do one.
Unless you're Dan Moore.
Yeah, Dan Moore is a beast.
That guy could do like 6 books at once.
Let's bang through all of these. Ambrosia, tell me about Star Wars Thrawn Alliances, number 1.
So this is actually based off of the Thrawn books.
Uh-huh.
So Thrawn is going to be big in the Star Wars world when it comes to the new.
Well, he's in Ahsoka. Yeah.
Yes. And so his books have been great, and they're written by Timothy Zahn. And he is actually the one who also wrote this comic. So it is a adaptation of the books of the second novel, which has been great. So
I didn't know that. That's cool.
So unlike the it's great. His books are fabulous. If you haven't read them, I definitely say give them a shot, as well as the comics, because unlike some of the other Star Wars comics that they come out, they are like word for word like the TV show. But these are actually from the books, and so this is from novel 2, and I have enjoyed it because it's like a graphic novel of the original book. So I'm really excited to see what other stuff comes out. It's also co-written by Jodie Houser, who I also really enjoy her writing, and she's been working on some Star Wars stuff recently. And then Timothy Zahn, who has been writing all the Thrawn books. So definitely check out his first series and then the second series, which leads up into his second novel. And I
have that first novel though. I need to finish that.
I feel like so I could like blast through I read a lot of like mystery and like suspense, and I could go through those like no one's business. But Star Wars books take me so much longer. I have to sit down and really focus and like take notes, just because it's just so much. So
same.
I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I really struggle to, not that they're not good, but
I was gonna say I love them, but they are kind of you have to focus on them.
Yes. Yeah, they're not just one that you could skim through real quick, but no, all their books have been really, really good, especially the past couple of years they've come out with some really great ones. And this is one of them, but yeah, so definitely check it out.
All right. Lex, you read The Holy Roller?
Yeah, it's a silly book, man, but I really, really like it.
I read the first 2 issues.
Yeah, really silly book. I can see them trying to make a movie off of this, because it would be a comedy, but I like it. I just I say it all the time. Yeah, I say it all the time. I read a lot of different comic books, and a lot of them are emotionally heavy or serious books. So every now and then I like to read something that's just silly. It's kind of a palate cleanser for me. Yeah. And this is one of those.
It's about a guy who fights Nazis with a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh, stop.
It's kind of like
professional. He was a professional bowler who had to move back to his hometown to take care of his dad, I believe. And then the town is overtaken by Nazis. Like, they run the town, and so he takes it upon himself to like save his town.
Kind of like a Walking Tall situation, right?
Yeah, it's great in the silliest way. I don't want anyone to be like, "Oh, this Lex guy's an idiot. This book is dumb," because it is silly, but it's great.
Yeah. Well, it like, how people have like their comfort TV shows, like they just need something to get them through like those. We all need something like funny. So we have our shows and our TV and our books and everything that have like are heavy and hard, but then we also have our books that just like lighten things up, and it's just a fresh breath of air. So no, that's fabulous. I love that.
I feel like in an alternate universe, James Gunn would be doing this movie. Like, because it seems like
I can see this being like an Amazon. I can see this being like an Amazon series or something like that. Like, that people would eat up, because it's just very silly.
Stylistic. It has to be like Matthew Vaughn.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great.
Like Matthew Vaughn doing the Holy Roller?
I need to see that now.
I mean,
that'd be great.
All right. I'm trying to see what else I read. What do we? Let's see. TMNT 147.
We're nearing the end. If you are out there and you are a longtime reader of Ninja Turtles, it ends at 150. We're getting a relaunch. Lots of big news, in the comic book space of Ninja Turtles recently. Jason Aaron's taking over the relaunch starting in July. Lots of great artists tied to it. It's going to be really big. They're not rebooting the series. It's just kind of a refresher, which I get because this issue specifically, the last story arc is kind of diving into like the future and a lot of mysticism. So I feel like they're going to try to take it back to make it a little bit more grounded for new readers or fans that watch the movie that want to check out the comic books. And it's still good, but it's one of those books that at 140 you have no idea what's going on if you haven't read all of them, which is kind of hard to have a comic book now.
Yeah.
So good.
How is the Penguin number 6?
Still so surprisingly good. Man, I didn't, the first issue I said that I did not expect to enjoy this book as much as I have, and I still feel that way at issue 6. Art's great, story's good, surprisingly.
All right. Ambrosia, you read Immortal Thor 6 also, right?
Yeah, so I read Immortal Thor 6. Well, I was halfway through it. And then God's issue number 4.
That's right.
Yeah. Which honestly, like that would be my next runner up, which you guys weren't like super excited about. I don't know. If it was trade back, you'd read it.
Yeah, I just haven't yet. It's one of those ones that when I read the first issue, I was like, that's gonna be a book that I need to read the entire thing.
I mean, it's a lot. But what I don't know that much about Oblivion and what is it? Win, what's his full name? I got it. Oh, so I don't know too much about them. So it's been very interesting to learn and to see where it goes. And especially with Doctor Strange, I feel like Win and Doctor Strange are so similar. And so it kind of just creates magic chaos.
He's kind of like John Constantine-ish, right?
Yes.
That's the vibe that I got from the first issue.
Very much so. That's a great example of it. And so we're learning about the Skinner box. And so it is a lot. There's a lot of characters, lots of things that we don't know. And so I personally am excited to see where it goes, and it will continue. But I find it's fun. There's a lot of fantasy. I think it's neat.
Right.
Yeah. Whenever Hickman gets a chance to write stuff like that, he goes in on it.
Yeah, you definitely could tell like this is like a passion project for him.
Yeah. He goes pretty crazy with stuff like that, which I enjoy, but I have to self-contain it all in one read.
Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is I love Hickman, so it worked.
Same.
All right. And then last but not least, I think, is Punisher number 3. I read the first 2 issues. Lex, I think, read this 3rd issue, right?
I read this one. It's fine. I still don't know why they needed to change Frank. Like I get the background reasons. You know what I mean? Like I get the from the business standpoint, but like just to relaunch a book with a character that is the same character, I don't get it. You know what I mean? It's he's still a soldier. He still lost his family. It's a different way, but it's just do a different Frank Castle story. Like I would be more interested in the weird world Frank Castle stuff than this.
Frank Castle in space, Frank Castle fantasy, Frank Castle. Me personally, I think the easiest for me, like the whole thing, you got to redeem Frank Castle's symbol, I guess, in a weird way. You have to both redeem it, but then also show that like he's not a good person to emulate. So in a meta contextual sort of thing, Marvel needs to cleanse themselves of this weird white supremacist shit that goes around with Frank Castle, his skull and everything.
I would rather read a book called Frank Castle and it just be about him. Like, don't even use the name Punisher. Scrap it for a while.
That'd be good, honestly.
My idea would be Frank Castle Frank Castle has, not given up, but like Frank Castle's around, but then there's a whole team of white supremacist vigilante punishers wearing his skulls, wearing all this, unless it's been done before. But the point being is that Frank Castle essentially, he's wearing the same skull on his chest that they are. He changes his skull to a new skull. That's now your new branding. And he kills him in the worst ways possible to distance himself from that. And he goes on TV. This is the way I would do it. He goes on live TV and says, "You are not me. You believe,
and I'm not a hero." Essentially, like I shouldn't be a symbol for anybody.
Yeah. If me killing them makes me a hero, then tonight I'll be a hero.
Yeah.
But I'm not a hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like really lean into the fact that like, yeah, if you're a neo-Nazi, Frank is not your friend.
Yeah.
You know?
Or just bring back Frankencastle. That's my favorite. It's my favorite Frank Castle. That's my favorite version of Frank Castle.
Or we just take Frank to space.
I like Space Punisher. That was a fun book, man.
Cosmic Ghost Rider? Is that what it was?
It was Space Punisher.
Was that what it was?
These are two different books.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Cosmic Ghost Rider, but there was a space. Oh, I gotta send it to you because he fights Space Hulk, and it's just like it's a wild Elseworld style book. It's not anything that could be canon. It's really, really weird.
Okay. All right. All in all, not a bad week for comics, especially because you guys all brought up like essentially third party kind of third company sort of comics, right? So shout out to Image and whatnot for TMNT 147, Ghost Machine 1, Holy Roller 3, right? Like these are all good titles that came out this week that weren't DC or Marvel.
What was the book that was it Cameron brought up? Darkwing?
Carson. Yeah, Carson brought up Darkwing and Justice Ducks.
Darkwing Duck.
Yes.
And Negaduck.
So yes.
Because Negaduck has his own comic. But we finished at a good time. I want to thank you guys so much, Lex, Ambrosia, so much for coming on the show and talking comics with me and the people out there. I want to thank the people out there so much. Carson, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to anybody who's watching us on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show, or thank you to whoever is listening to us on our podcast, wherever you get your podcast from, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I know the podcast platform is changing. The landscape is changing in 2024. But for the most part, that's our podcast. It's pretty much anywhere you can get your podcast. But before we get going, Lex, where can we find you? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to plug?
You can find me anywhere on social media at Wednesday Poll. Our podcast, Wednesday Poll List, ended in 2023, but there is a future project that I can't talk about yet, but just find me on social media and you'll know about it.
Sounds good. And you wrote a article for thekeegshow.com. So
yep, I got a few more coming out soon, very soon.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you, Lex, for coming on. Ambrosia, where can we find you? What do you got coming up?
Hi. You can find me on TikTok at Comics and Cupcakes, as well as Instagram at Ambrosia_Linda. And yeah.
You got anything coming up?
No, right now I'm just trying to get back into TikTok, and trying to just get back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
And then hopefully, I could be podcasting more and start back my comic book history lessons and stuff. So
yeah, for sure. Awesome. For anyone out there who wants to find us on social media, find us on TikTok and Instagram. Those are our two biggest ones. TikTok and Instagram at The Keeg Show, or, anywhere, any social media at The Keeg Show / The Keeg Show. Pretty much any social media, you can find us there. Threads, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. So find us there. If you want to find us on Patreon, patreon.com / The Keeg Show. And, help us out and give back to the Keeg. We also got a website now, thekeegshow.com. Sure, there are some updates that need to be done, but, we're doing our part, writing some articles. Lex has written some articles. There's some good articles by comics by Kalen on there. So, if you guys are interested in that, we're picking up pace. So, we're not full speed ahead, but we're picking it up, Other than that, comicshoplocator.com, find a comic shop near you. That's super important. Support your local comic book shops. Other than that, that is the show. This is Comic Talk. It is every Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about the new comics that came out that week. So every week, it's DC, Marvel, and Indie on Thursday nights. And then we also have the Keeg Talks, where we talk about a new topic every podcast episode. So coming up this weekend, we're talking about, I think we're doing like a double feature. It's going to be Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, and Godzilla -1. And so essentially comparing and contrasting and just talking about our Godzilla as a whole. So definitely stay tuned for that Godzilla-centric episode. That's pretty much it. Thank you once again, Lex. Thank you, Ambrosia, so much for coming on. Thank you to anybody out there. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, do your thing. Once again, I'm your host, Dimithri Perera, and this has been Comic Talk for the week of January 25th, 2024. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.